I'm going to put together a video to show how I tap my maple trees and collect the sap and boil the sap all the way up to the final product. So here we are. First step is tapping the trees. We just put one tap in this tree, and if you can see down close, it's running pretty good, pretty steady down the line and into our jug. This is a fair sized tree, maybe 24 inches across. So we're going to go ahead and put another tap in this one. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your drill. These taps are 5/8 taps. You want to try to find a location on top above a root on the south side of the maple tree. Always try to get it on the south side. So I'm going to go ahead and about 6-8 inches from where this one's at, and above this root, and we're going to put another tap in here. And you always want to drill at an angle. You want to try to get it about 1.5 inches in the tree. And always try to use a good clean bit. I always like to use the same bit year after year, and this is the only thing it's used for, is tapping trees. And then you don't have to worry about any contamination. Just keep that one bit clean. So what we'll do is we'll take a little branch, we'll clean out the hole, get all the sawdust out of the hole. Never blow air into the hole to blow the wood chips out, or the bacteria from your mouth will cause the hole to seal up and heal itself, and you won't get any sap. You can already see this one's got sap running right out the tree already. So I'll step over here and get another tap. We're just using these clear taps. I got these on Amazon. I think there were 25 of them for 15 bucks. Then you stick it in the hole there, and you hit it with a hammer until you hear it go thump, and right there it stops. And I always like to let the tap run for a few minutes. As you can see, the sap's already coming out the bottom. Sap's already dripping out of that new tap. I let it run for a couple minutes to get any sediments that might still be left in there out and clear of debris. So this one's running pretty good. So we'll go ahead and put another cut another piece of tubing and put in this jug. This is not maple tree approved sap collecting tubing. It is food grade. I found this at a local hardware store, and it's lead free, so it is food grade, but we're all out of the regular tap line that I normally use, so this is our quick fix. So I'll be back next with the collection. Here's one of our trees that we've had tapped. I'm going to gather from here this morning. I've already gathered the sap here yesterday evening, so there's not a whole lot in this one. I just wanted to bring you back and show you this step of the process. So, not bad, about 3/4 of a gallon in there since last night. We'll go find another tree here and do the same thing with it. Put this one back together. Okay, here's my evaporator set up. You can see it's constructed out of cement blocks. I have 2, 4, 6, 8 blocks, full-size blocks around it, and then 4-inch cap blocks around the top. What I've done is I've taken those blocks in the first row is set sideways to allow for airflow. The second row is set normally, vertically there, and I've put sand in the holes of the block to help conserve heat for insulation, and then I top it off with that 4-inch cap block. So you can see my fire burning real good under there. I do keep it small. This is an old fan that I have, and I keep that blowing on it and keep the fire good and hot, and the sap at a rolling boil, as you can see right there. This is constantly fed with this bucket system that I have set up. I just drilled a 1-inch hole in the bottom of the bucket, put a 1-inch grommet uniseal fitting in it, and just PVC pipe fittings, ball valve. I think I'm going to change that ball valve out to a regular spigot style PVC spigot, just be a little bit easier to control my flow going into the sap. Right now I got it set about right. It's just a constant drip, and that feeds the pan. You don't want to put too much in at a time because that'll kill your boil, and you'll have to just keep waiting on the boil to come back and then readjusting your sap flow into the pan. So right now that drip seems to be working just fine. See, we'll look at the bucket here. Basically, I just have this 5-gallon bucket, a lid. I put this block on top. The lid doesn't really fit because I have cheesecloth in here. The cheesecloth kind of acts as a filter because I'm dumping the sap straight from the tree, from where we collected it, straight into here. And sometimes you get little insects. You can see there's a little gnat right there that we've caught. They get into the jugs around the tubing where it's drained the sap into the jugs. So this is just a good way to catch any other debris, little pieces of bark, things like that, or even little pieces of sawdust from where we first drilled out the tap holes. So I'll just set that there, and I'll get some of our sap that we collected there a little bit ago, and then we just dump it in. And I just dump it till, usually I fill it up to the top of the cheesecloth. There wasn't quite enough to get it there. And I just fill it up to the top of the cheesecloth, and then cap it back up. Put my block back on top. And that's it. It's pretty much do it itself here. I don't know how else to explain it. You don't have to stir it. You don't have to do anything to it. It just boils like water. You can see the sap coming out of the drip line there is real clear. But look down the pan. We've probably boiled off 5 gallons so far. 10 gallons has went through the system, so I'm guessing we've got rid of at least 5 so far. But as it boils away, it just starts turning that real nice amber color, and you get down close enough to smell the steam. It's very sweet smelling. So not much to it. It's the whole process. I don't know if I mentioned it there, but you see my little strainer right there. I use it to strain that foam. You want to get that foam off if you can. You don't have to, but if you can, it makes it better to strain that off now, because whenever you do your final filter, after you boil it down completely to 100% maple syrup, you're going to have to strain it again to get all the sugar sands out of it. So it's just easier to get that out now and not have to worry about it later. So come back a little bit later on with some more of the process. Okay, so we've come back inside now. The last of our sap has been boiled down. We've reduced it down to about 1.5 gallons or so. So you want to bring in your sap. You don't want to finish it on the main fire. You want to have a smaller pot, a little more controlled boil. So what we're wanting to get to is 219 degrees. Okay, if you look over here, This is our actual temperature, 213. We want to get to 219. 219 is the point where maple syrup boils. So once you hit that temperature, that means it must be maple syrup. So we're at 213 right now. This will take a little bit of time here to get to that magical 219 number. So we're just going to give it a minute here and we'll come back. Before I go, I'll show you. I don't think I'll be able to show you this part, but you always want to strain your syrup after you get it to that 219 mark. Before you jar it up, you want to strain it. So I've just got a Kool-Aid container and a pitcher and a little strainer, and this is an old cotton t-shirt, clean cotton t-shirt that I've tore up and doubled it in half, so that's what I'll strain through. So you always want to make sure you strain before you can up your final product. So we're boiling. I'll be back. Okay, so we're getting real close to hitting that 219 mark. You can tell a big difference in the boiling. It's not a rapid bubbly boil. You have bubbles all the way across the top. It looks a little different than water boiling. I've got my jars ready to go. This is just like normal canning. You gotta have good hot jars. We're not going to do a water bath. We're just going to dump the syrup in here, lid it up. I got warm lids going in the back, and we're ready to go. So, oh, we just hit that 219. We dropped back down. My probe. Yeah, I think my probe's going bad here. There we are. Yeah, it looks like it's about ready. We can do the spoon test on it. See, it's a little thinner than normal syrup, but it's get that last little bit off there. It does start getting a little bit thicker. So yeah, we're there. Alright, I'm going to pull this off here and I'm going to filter it through. It's hard to do with one hand, so I'll be back. Okay, here's what our filter looks like after filtering. Try to get out of that shadow, but you can see there's a little gunk in there. That's called sugar sands and niter. That's just naturally produced by the tree from mineralization from the ground. So we want to get that filtered out. Here's our final syrup product. I'm just going to go through here and dump it in our jars. So you want to make sure you have good hot jars and hot syrup. Like I said, we're not going to water bath this because everything's hot. The sap or the syrup should be at least 180 degrees to do this. And since we were at 219 before, it hasn't been that long. Pretty sure it's safe to say we're still there. So I'm just going to fill up these canning jars. And I will get back to you. Here's our final product that we ended up with. 9 jelly jars and 2 pint jars. So we got about a little over 3 quarts or 3/4 of a gallon, which is just about right. It takes anywhere from 40 to 45 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. And we boiled down 32 gallons worth of sap. So that's not a bad turnout. So you can see here, it's up against that white background. It's fairly clear, pretty thick. Well, it looks kind of thin in the jar, but as it cools, it will thicken. But so there's that final process. Maple syrup, start to finish. Hope you enjoyed it.